people class, welcome to today's review of the Hyperbody Modernia and the Figma Scarlet from the video game Nike, Goddess of Victory. So to be honest, I really wasn't that into Nike. One of my mods actually got me into it. I was really part of the group that just thought, oh, it's anime girls with big features, so the story can't be that good, but oh my gosh, when I played it, I was wrong. And to start the review off, let's get a closer look at Modernia. I have to say that the painting and sculpting on Modernia is just stunning. From the bronze of the gun to the copper on the other pieces all throughout, and then the beautiful hair, the slight pink purple detailing going to the bottom ends, and everything else having a slight metallic to reflective finish on it leaves nothing wanting for me on this figure, and it is great. I mean, even going down to the skin, the tight textures, everything on here is just a simple piece of art. For what she comes with, it is quite a lot. You of course get the figure herself, you get 2 extra pair of hands, which is really just a fist and a slightly more open hand. You get, honestly in my opinion, one of the most beautifully detailed, color separated, articulated pieces that I have ever gotten in a pre-made model, and I love it to death. You also get a finely detailed Rapture eyepiece that just looks stunning with articulation all over the place. I will have to say that the most depressing part is the tail though. There is literally nothing to it. There is no bendy wire. It is just a straight dark gray piece with no detailing. You get one extra tiny ball joint that, you know, with a figure full of ball joints, it would be nice to have at least 2 or 3. You also get 2 amazing lower hip wings that shine beautifully in the light. You also get an interchangeable hair piece that has her mask down. It doesn't have that much more extra detail than regular hair, but I am very happy that they included this. You also get 3 wonderfully painted face sculpts, and yes, there's 4, but I'll show that one later, and they just shine bright. I do wish that there was a little more, you know, color to the skin, but from a 2D to a 3D figure, I have to say this is amazing, especially with the eyes. You also get this waistband piece that is not really for aesthetic purposes, it's more for articulation. I'll get into that later. Last but not least, you get a nice stand that you will need to tighten over time or put in a little something extra to strengthen joints, but you know, it's pretty dang great, and it does have some nice detail at the bottom of the base. But going into articulation on the actual figure, I have to say that with the hair, firstly, of course, you're going to lose some articulation, but if you use the ball joint at the base of the head, not the neck, at the base of the head, you can, and it is tight, like very tight, so you may miss it, you can get some awesome head tilts. Going up, she can't really look up that much because of the hair, but going down, she can look down a decent amount. Of course, she can't do a full 360, but I'm okay with that. I'm not trying to make her turn into an owl. For the shoulders, the other sucky part is that this one is loose. It does like to pop out very easily, and it does get annoying, but then I also see that as like it's somewhat butterfly joint, so it is nice when I'm posing in, and it just becomes a little loose, so it's, you know, I can work with it. For the arm, there is a kind of bicep swivel. It's more just the piece moving. Do know that I had to push this one in because it wanted to pop out like crazy, and that got really annoying. So again, ball joints with this figure kinda suck in places, unfortunately, but the hand, rotate it wherever you want. You can get up, down, left, right, it doesn't matter. The range is up to you and your personal preference. For the chest, she can arch up pretty nicely. She can arch down even better. No, she's not blocked by this, she's actually blocked by her own. Sculpting, for whatever these are called, they have a nice range of movement. They are on ball joints, so there's no real need to stress about it getting in the way of posability. All you literally gotta do is move it. For the legs, you have a nice double hinge system of where you can see at the base of the hip. You can get a nice forward bend already, which is looking great. And then you have to be very careful with this because, or at least I do, because they like to pop out, and that is about as far as you can go with this skirt. Remember that there are 2, and you can get pretty much 90. So there is a little bit of a drop down hip mechanic as well. If you work with it, you can get a little bit more, but I'll have to change this to let you guys see where it can fully go. There is a nice, it's weird, when you rotate it to certain directions it gets tighter, other directions it gets a little bit loose, but I haven't had too much of a problem with it. But you can do full 360, but I'm not going to because, as I said, it feels a little too tight. For knee bend, perfect, no problem at all. The only problem with it is that it is loose, unfortunately. It only takes a little bit of joint tightener to get in there, make it stronger, but I have kind of lost mine in the moving process, so unfortunately she will be loose for me for a little bit. And then with her itty bitty little feet, you get a nice little ball joint and then a kind of rotation. You just have to work with it, but it can move. And yes, she can stand on her own, but because her feet are so small, not in a lot of poses. For the articulation of the gun, I have to say that this was freaking amazing to mess around with and learn. So you have a very, very strong up and down hinge. You have a little bit of a loose ball joint at the bottom one, but if you tighten it up a little bit, that won't be a problem. And of course it can swivel. There is a slight hinge at this copper strap that does go all the way down and up, but of course when you put it on the body, you're not going to be able to use all that range of motion. There is also a swivel just above that, and this joint does feel a little bit weak, so I'm not really going to use it. I'm just going to leave it there and call it a day. There is also a swivel at this bronze piece that is very tight that I'm not going to mess around with anymore. There is also a big ball joint at the bottom. So this one, it is very strong, but I can definitely tell that if you move this around, just like any other ball joint, any other piece in here, the more you use it, the more loose it gets, unfortunately. For the Rapture Eye, I have to say, other than the detailing, whatever, this is stunning. This was definitely one that I was expecting to be just a solid piece, but no. You get two ball joints here. You get one at the base of the eye and one at the base of the neck, I'll call it. There is no movement here, which kind of sucks, but I'm okay with. Now for the thrusters, I promise you that this is not supposed to be normal, but mine love to fall apart. I do not know why. There is a little bit of a nub there, which is probably why it doesn't want to, stay together. It feels strong enough, but it just isn't. So you have a small, or no, you have a pretty generous swivel. We'll swivel at the middle joint, which does like the pop off on my other one, which sucks, but whatever. And then you don't really have anything up top. It's just a plug-in joint. Be really careful swapping out the hands. I thought I just broke this, but no, the peg just came apart. For the hands, I really have to say that the only thing that is different is the fists. In comparison to the hands that come on the figure and then the regular relaxed hands, it's not really that big a difference. I mean, yes, of course the hands are more splayed out, but if there was an option for another pair of hands, I would have gladly taken those. For faces, she does have a stoic face, or kind of a bland looking face with a little bit of an open mouth, a bashful face with a very adorable appearance. You get an angry face that really does go well with this hairpiece, as seen here. Then you get the face that I'm gonna leave her with just because this one is so dang perfect for her. Now for her ability to pose, there is not a problem at all. It's just that with my figure, the knees are very weak, and I try to put in joint tightener stuff, but the gaps in the knees are just too big. So unfortunately, she can't really stand with bent knees, so I will forever have to use a stand on her. Is it the end of the world? No. I just would have liked to not depend on the stand. So does that mean you can get posed with the figure as you can on the box? Yes, but unfortunately I can't, because even trying to get her into that pose, like I promise you, even just holding the leg is making it collapse. So fortunately I can't, but hopefully your figure can. And now I'll change pace a little bit onto my favorite Nikkei ever, Scarlet. So first thing I was worried about with this figure is how the heck would they do such a massive freaking hat? Well, they put it on a stand, cut it short, and yes, there are supposed to be some black little tiles that fit into there, but unfortunately they don't plug in, and these are one solid piece of plastic. So after trying to finagle with it for a minute, only getting one in and the other one not going in, I didn't want to risk breaking it and then taking out the next 5 minutes to put it back in the box because I've been taking forever to make this thing review. And the top of the hat looks, I mean, metallic. It looks good. There's nothing more to say other than wow. But with that wow factor, there is a little bit of articulation. I wouldn't really call it articulation, just a couple of gimmicks of these two little pieces moving. Of course, if the black pieces are hanging out, you could, you know, dangle them, play with them, but oh well. Now to get on to the actual figure, which I kind of won't, because I want to say how much of a pain it is to get this dang stand in place with the dang hat that is on a dang, as you can see, angle, and then to get her in a dang position that doesn't scratch her little boots into the stand too much, and it just becomes a problem. This is a wonderful figure, but oh my gosh, is it a pain in the ass to freaking pose her. And not even to mention the belt, which is being pushed up by the sword, because the sword can only go into one position, and then the actual dang belt has these other couple of pieces, but gosh, does it love to dangle. Other than that, the base figure is really nice. You just gotta, you know, once you put it on the stand, kinda, you know, put it on the stand. Whoopee. And I don't mean to say that that's a buzzkill for it. I'm just kind of annoyed at how there is no real way to plug the belt in, which I'm happy for, because if it was actually plugged in, then she will have lost a lot of posability in her legs. So for right now, we're just going to take her off the stand and we will review her bit by bit. Also, second part with the stand, add the sand this point and the point that goes into her back, because none of them wanted to fit. And the smell of sanding these stands is absolutely horrendous. I do not recommend it unless you need to do it. Looking at the alcoholic Scarlet, I have to say that this opening her was just beautiful. Getting her in the box was amazing, but actually being able to see it and hold her, and then getting to be able to see all this without having to, you know, play as her in the game or get her to turn around to do something. There's some beautiful sculpting and painting on the side, wonderful sculpting of the cloth. I mean, in the game, this actually wraps around and goes up top, but then of course I get it as to why it doesn't, just because it's a toy, it's not really supposed to. I mean, everything on here is wonderfully detailed. It is just kind of a pain trying to manage to get it to sit on her right, where it doesn't look weird, it's not freaking under her chest, and it's not, you know, in some random position like that. It's not that big a deal, but if you're like me and you wish that was a little bit simpler, but also understand that if it was simpler, it would just be stuck in here. I am happy with it. Before I get too deep into anything else, let's swap out the faces. First face that you see is her just with a slight smirk, very cute, very Scarlet. You then get a wonderful stoic face, and due to her, let's say nature, she does come with a drunken face. So there is a second version of her that comes with a little bit of a different face, but to be honest, I don't want to pay $20 extra to get shipped here and then the same figure for a different face. If it was something else, I would have taken it, but just for that face, nah. I'm just gonna stick with this and this tiny little cup that will never be removed from the plastic, because oh my gosh, I do not want to lose that. In typical Figma fashion, you also get a wonderful plethora of hands. The ones I have on her right now are a wide open grip hand, a normal grip holding hand. For the other hands that she comes with, she comes out with two splayed out, two kind of fists, one relaxed, two small weapon holding hands, and then one wide or semi-wide open hand. For her drinks, she also does come with a sake holding hand cup, and then the actual hand that you're supposed to use to hold the sake, but I don't want to swap out the ball joints every time to put them in, and then when I want to put the regular hands in, to swap out the ball joints again, so I'm just gonna leave these in the bag and say, you know, I got them. For her skirt articulation, there is a couple of pieces. You got a hinge right here, you got a swivel for this piece. This is more soft plastic, so try not to mess with that too much. A lot of this is soft plastic, to be honest. Then there is a nice big ball joint here for this piece, which means that it can move around a lot, which is going to be needed for posing. A swivel right underneath that, and then a kind of ball joint for here. I don't really call it a ball joint, I just call it a peg of sorts, so you can rotate this without a problem. Just because, you know, I don't want to break them, but that doesn't mean that they actually limit articulation. They allow for range of motion in every really degree possible that you could want. The arms are also very tight with a nice small hidden butterfly joint that acts like the actual shoulder, and then going up she can do a nice range. She does have a full 360 460, but I don't want to test it because it seems very tight at that point. There's a very nice elbow joint and the, of course, ball joint wrist, where wherever you turn the ball joint, the wrist will go. For the chest articulation, it is separated in ways I really like, so you get the up and down, and she can go up amazingly. I mean, the amount of range is only limited by the molding of this, and still, that's enough for me. And then you get a wonderful ab crunch that feels amazing to use. There is no problems at all with this. For the legs, you just gotta move this up a little bit to get the full range. There is no drop down, unfortunately, so to really get her to throw her leg out, you do have to kind of swing it out to the side like a clone trooper, pretty much. And then once you figure out where the thigh swivel is, which is very tight, there we go, you can get it kind of to be straight, and then she can get a 90, a little like, I'm gonna call it 90, with a double knee joint that unfortunately is a little bit weak, just a little bit. It doesn't limit her from standing on her own, but of course, the more I use it, even just a little bit, the more and more I feel it getting weaker. For the feet, they are on the ball joint as well, so there is no problem. The only problem is, how the heck do you stand on these? That's a fun part. You don't. And you can get her to pose on her 2 feet. It's just that you really have to balance. You really have to get them to dig into the ground. And unfortunately, the more you have them dig, the less sharp they get. And the second you touch her, she tends to get off balance. But of course, that doesn't mean that she can't. Now, how does she do with her sword? She does amazing. Not a single problem at all. I mean, okay, so one big problem is her holding the sword, which can get, pretty funky. I do recommend you to use the wide open hand, just because it holds it the best and it just looks the best as well. And can she do the pose from the game? She can get close enough. It's just that, of course, it's not really realistic because it's not natural cloth. And can she sheathe her sword? No. You get this piece to plug into the back of it. The sucky part about her holding the sheath is that she's literally holding it with her fingertips. So it's not that she can't hold it, it's just that one, it is very loose. And secondly, you have to kind of balance it on her, or else, as you can see, it just doesn't really work. In no way is it impossible for you to do it. You can. The best way I suggest you do it is take her off the stand, put her in the pose like this, and then get everything right. Put the sword in, manage the hat however you can, and then put the sheath in. It's a little bit tricky, but once you get it, you can get some beautiful poses with this girl. The way to hold the sheath on the stand is very weird, so put bottom down, you kind of have to force it in until it squeezes through the gap, and then you can put it in as far as you want. Just know that you can't go past these, so I like to put it about just in the middle. Then with the sword, be very careful. You have to slide the tip in first, which if you have ever held a blade before, this is very sketchy, and however you can get it in, you just get it in. That's as far as it's gonna go and as far as I'm gonna push it. And of course, be careful when you're putting on the stand. The sheath puts a lot of pressure onto the back of the skirt, so if you're not careful, you can miss position, or if you put a lot of time into trying to pose it right, it just won't work. The biggest thing about her is that pose her when she is off the stand. Try to finagle her into a comfortable position when she is on the stand. And that is going to be it for the review of my Hyper Body Modernia and Figma Scarlet. So thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Have a nice day. God bless, and I'll see you next time. Peace.